much. Let's see who all we have here. Okay. Scott, I don't see you on the screen, but anyway, I'm called the Board of Port Wardens will come to order. I'm Gene Godley, the chair. We have with us tonight Robert Shapiro, Scott Anderson, Harold Siegel. Willie Sampson will not be with us. He's absent tonight. And we have Kevin Scott, our wonderful staff person from the Zoning Commission, as well as Kerry Berger, the Assistant City Attorney, and Ross Arnett, the Alderman. So I appreciate everyone's coming and participation. We had fellow Port Ward members, you have before you the agenda. Can I have a motion that we approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Anderson and Harold and Robert both second. All in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Is approved. We also have before you the minutes from July the 26th. I've reviewed them and I have no concerns. No one has any concerns. Can I have a motion that we approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Harold Siegel and Emerson Scott. All in favor, aye. Aye. We have before us three findings of fact. Actually, we have two that are in your package. So, and I find no problem with the Smith or Chapman findings. So can I have a motion that we approve those two? Mr. Shapiro motions that we approve. Mr. Anderson seconds. All in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
So those are approved. We have a third, if I can find it, a third agenda item on the Port Ward on the findings, which is 310 3rd Street. And I'm not sure if this was circulated or not. Trying to find my text, but Kerry and I have worked on the draft, and I don't want to surprise anyone since I can't find it. Oh, there it is. The court remanded the case to us to basically elaborate on our findings. And I would propose as a finding, we say the following. Was this
Gene, can you just clarify this is for 310 3rd Street?
Yes, I'm sorry, for 310 3rd Street. The third item on the findings in the agenda. And I don't know if this was circulated or not, but I will read it to see if people, if fellow Port Wardens agree, and if so, we can adopt it and ask Kerry to.
Oh, I was just going to say before you get started, Gene, the only people that can vote on the amended findings are those that voted on the findings to begin with, which were you, I believe, Robert, and I can't remember the third person if it was Scott or Willie, but only those that initially voted on that first findings can vote
It
on
was
the.
Gene, Robert, and Scott.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, so we will have a quorum. Okay, here is what is written, and I don't want to. I want to read it, and then if people have a concern, we can bring it up some other time. Based on the testimony and evidence at the hearing on the application of 310 3rd Street, the Board of Port Wardens finds that the record contains sufficient evidence to conclude the applicant demonstrated that the requirements under City Code sections 1518.110 and 1518.120 were met. Specifically, there was testimony from the applicant's representative as well as the applicant's expert that the existing private pier has been in use since 1980 and is an exact footprint of the pier that was built in 1950 as part of Sandler's Crab House. Additionally, the applicant's proposal does not seek to expand, enlarge, or otherwise change the established use that has been in place for decades. So I would make a motion that we adopt that and ask Kerry to send it to the court in response to their remand requirement.
I'll make a motion to add the memorandum.
Okay, so Scott makes a motion, Robert seconds. All in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Shapiro, Anderson, and Godley vote aye. So Carrie, can you send that to the court?
Yeah, we'll double check and check with the court that she wants to receive it in the first place, and we'll do what needs to be done on that end for sure.
Okay. Thank you very much. The next item is the election of officers. Under the city code, every year, we have to elect a chair and a vice chair. As everyone knows, my term has expired, and I have asked not to be reappointed after 28 years because it just gets old for the mayor to keep doing this. So we need to nominate a chair and a vice chair from our membership. I would propose that, well, before I do that, the point of personal privilege, I'd like to express my personal appreciation to the city staff who is really key to this board and other volunteer boards functioning as they should. In particular, I owe my personal appreciation to Kevin Scott and the Kerry Berger for keeping me as much as they could on the straight and narrow. And they weren't always able to do that, but I appreciate it. And I just want to say that if there's any commendations to be handed around in the city, that those two people certainly should be considered. Having said that, I would propose that we nominate Robert Shapiro as the next chairman and Willie Sampson to continue as vice chair. So that would be my motion. Scott, can't hear you.
I'd certainly like to make a motion to approve that.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
With that having been said, I would like to congratulate Robert as being the new chair, and I will.
I don't know if I should thank you or I'll thank you after a couple meetings.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your willingness to serve, and as the and Ross is here, he can say it better than I can, but as the city appreciates it, I think it's wonderful that you're willing to continue and to serve as chairman. So I will now step aside and follow my new leader.
So Jean, I appreciate your 28 years of service. You've been great for the board, and in the matter of continuing, will you stay on as a member until your vacancy is filled?
If needed.
Okay, that'll be appreciated. Well, it's always needed, but we definitely appreciate it.
Well, I want to make it clear that I will not leave the Port Wardens, abandon them so you don't have a quorum. However, I'm also concerned that in my history with the city, that there is an incredible time lag in making appointments, and which I have never understood, don't understand, and it is not a secret when people's terms expire. So I will certainly do it. My loyalty and to the city remains, and I will do what I can. But I would urge the mayor and his staff to find a replacement as soon as possible. These boards are important, and you can't expect people to do well and give time if the city doesn't respond with their appreciation for what people do. So having said that, yes, I will be around, and I promised Robert I'll give him any and all assistance I can in the transition.
well, I'm just turning the meeting over to me. How about assisting by closing this meeting? So it's your final and last, and then I can meet with Carrie a little bit to be ready. I assume you're finishing this one out, Gene, hopefully.
No, you're now chairman.
Oh. Yeah, okay, all right,
Ross has his hand up.
yes.
Mr. Chair, thank you for recognizing me. First of all, I was pleasantly surprised to see that Jean was here tonight, and I hope your medical procedure went well and is moving along successfully. I've been part of the city for a long time, but you have been part of the city for at least 10 years longer than that. And you are an institution and you are appreciated. And we want to thank you for your guidance over all of these years, spanning several administrations, several council members for sure. And I think would be remiss in not giving you a very hearty thank you for your service, long and well done. So I personally thank you. I appreciate your service.
Thank you, Ross, as I do yours. And my surgery is fine. My replacement knee is, I'm about a month ahead in terms of rehab. So as they say in the medical profession, with my new knee, I'm kicking ass.
Let's all get out of your way then.
Thank you. So, Robert, why don't you take over, and then I'll coach you. We have big agenda, and so you can just call the first one and swear the people in, and
Okay.
you're fine.
All right, so I guess there's no old business, so we're going right to new business. So this would be 705 Warren Drive. Is Jeff, Joe, and Mike in? Now, I don't even have the language, Gene, for swearing in. So
All right. Let's do this together. We'll do it. If you'll let the participants into the meeting that
Okay.
will testify on the 705 Warren Drive application, let them in, and then I will do the first swearing in, and you can do the subsequent ones.
Okay. I guess, Joe, Mr. Orzano, you're with them. Is Mike coming in or Jeff coming in?
I do not have either of those names in the attendee list.
Okay. All right. So we're only
As
swearing
far as I know,
in.
it's just me.
Okay. Then, Robert, here's what one would do. One would say, Mr. Orzano, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth to the port wardens to the best of your ability upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay. And
then would you please just describe as briefly as you can what you're trying to do in the application?
right. Okay.
So Mr. Kestner would like to add 2 boat lifts, 4 pole lifts, one being a 20,000 pound lift and one being a 10,000 pound lift at the end of his pier. And then also a PWC lift for possibly a future jet ski or small crabbing boat or something like that.
Okay.
And pilings, of course, for the lift.
Right. And how much of this was existing? Like how much of the pier is the pier being extended to do this?
We're not extending the pier, no, sir. We're just adding 4 poles on each side of the pier, about 5 feet in from the end of the dock, 4 on each side. And then the jet ski lift will be, I think it's about 30 feet out from the existing bulkhead. So the pier will stay the same. It's just new pilings for the lift to attach to.
Okay. All right. Gene?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Question one, you said you're removing a mooring pole, but in the drawings, I couldn't determine where that pole is and which one is being removed. Can you point me to someplace in the exhibit?
Yes, sir. It's the one that's, if you're looking from water out, all the way to the right side, there's one at the about 20 feet to the right of the pier, right by the harbor line.
There's a drawing number at the lower right. Can you give me a drawing number first?
I think this is the one that's done by hand that doesn't have a number. And
Okay.
It does not.
as I see
Okay.
it looks like it has an X through it, but it's not quite clear. So that's the pole. My second question would be, what is the weight capacity of the boat lifts?
The one on the right side will be a 20,000 pound lift. And the one on the left side will be a 10,000 pound lift. And then the personal watercraft is 1,500 pounds.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I would like to say that this application is next door to me, but I have, and I knew it was happening because when the person was there from Magnum Lift measuring, asking what he was doing, but I have not discussed this with the applicant and or anything. I say that because as I look, I don't know that my vote would be needed, but I want to be sure that my proximity to this does not raise a concern about a conflict of interest. So ask the questions I did ask as a matter of information, but I wanted to be sure that everyone knew that it was next door to me, but I had not discussed it.
Okay. All right, and I mean, to me, it looks like all the pilings are well clear of any type of setbacks. They're well within, the normal range.
Yeah. Yes, they're all inside of where there are existing pilings. We're not stepping outside the footprint at all.
Okay. All right, Scott, any questions?
So what are you replacing and what are you adding exactly?
We're not replacing anything, just adding the 8 poles, and the PWC lift is going on an existing piling.
Okay, so because in your last testimony, you said you were adding, so I just want to get that straight. So
Just the pilings themselves.
Okay.
Okay. Gene, what would you do next?
I have a question.
I would ask if there was a motion for this application.
Okay.
If I can jump in real
Yeah.
quickly, Robert or Mr. Chair, you may want to double check with Kevin if anyone has submitted any public comments, and then also accept any of those public comments and the staff report into the record.
Okay. All right, Kevin.
There has not been any public, I just thought from what Carrie just mentioned, there's no public comments received. And I believe Scott had some questions.
Actually, I think I just answered them. Thank you.
Okay. And just to clarify, the drawing does have an N designation for all the new pilings and an R designation for the piling being removed. Just to clarify.
Okay.
The drawing.
Just as a general question, is there a problem that it's not from an official surveyor or a PE firm? Anybody?
No, not in my opinion. I mean, that this
Dan?
is, there is a, it doesn't have to be by PE, but they do have the survey plat in the drawing as one of the exhibits, and then the hand sketch correlates to that drawing. So it appears to be accurately drawn in my opinion.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I make a motion, we accept we accept the proposal.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I guess
You should,
pass.
you should say all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, given the fact that there's a majority, I will abstain in order to avoid any concern about conflict.
Okay. All right, so it looks like the ayes got it.
You're approved.
All right, you are
Thank you.
approved. All right, so I guess we're gonna go to 9 and 11 Southgate, Matt McLaughlin and David Lewis. This is trial by fire, so bear with me.
Mr.
So who do we have from the, so Matthew's here.
Mr. Chair, Robert Chappelle, Stephen Hyatt is the attorney for this and then the next 4 cases, and I believe he's going to represent, and he's probably going to ask that you look at these next 4 together because they all
Okay.
relate to one another.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, as a matter of saving time, I think that's a good idea. As I tried to sort through all of them, it appears to be one package that either works as a package or doesn't. And I would ask, Kevin, is there any opposition to this or any public comment?
There's no opposition or public comment from anybody other that isn't an actual applicant on here. It's for application that all the parties are sort of joint applicants, and they're broken up into the different applications just for the way our system works, so that we know what work is happening at what property, just so we know how to inspect it and permit and everything. But it's basically it's a joint project amongst all these property owners.
So
Right,
we could hear all 5 as, in one presentation and then approve them one by one by one by one.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you have an individual finding, which may be duplicate findings for basically all of them together, but hear it all together and vote on them each individually.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
and Mr. Hyatt, you're representing all of these.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's have you, I guess, go ahead and give us the rundown of the project.
Okay, sure. So,
Do you want to swear everybody in, Mr. Hyatt and all of his clients?
Of my last minute instantaneous notation, I guess all parties related to this 9 Southgate, 11 Southgate, 5 Southgate, and 3 Southgate. Can I swear them all in at one time?
You can.
Yes.
Okay, so please raise your hand. And Jean's gonna give the line again because I don't have that in writing.
Do you also tell the truth to the port wardens to the best of your ability upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
You're good to go, Mr. Chair.
Okay, all right, Mr. Hyatt, can you give us the rundown?
Sure thing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, just to reiterate here, 3 Southgate, 5 Southgate, 9 Southgate, and 11 Southgate, 4 separate applications. All 4 properties are submitting applications in part to redo their bulkheads. So that's why there are 4 applications. 5 and 9 Southgate and 9 and 11 Southgate have independent applications for a shared pier between their respective properties. And then 9 Southgate has some of its own scope of work, separate and apart from the bulkhead, separate and apart from the shared piers, some pilings and some dredging work that required its own application. And we did this for a multitude of purposes, but I think hearing them all together in lieu of just a redundant going through the motions 4 times, if there is a distinction to be made, we will note it. But for the most part, the existing conditions on all 4 applications are identical. The only differences you'll note are in the proposed work for each application. And again, we'll point that out. But for the record, my name is Stephen Hyatt. I'm the attorney, Hyatt and Weber, 200 Westgate Circle, Suite 500, Annapolis, for Port 2022-014, 015, 016, and 017. And The 4 applications that we're going to be going through seek to install new bulkheads across, like I said, 3, 5, 9, 11 Southgate. And then 3 of the applications, really 2 of them, intend to reconfigure 3 piers down to 2 piers, which once approved will, I think, and Mr. Scott and probably Mr. Godley can chime in here. I don't know if there's ever been a situation in the city of Annapolis where private residents have voluntarily built shared piers, given up 1 pier to reduce the number of piers. And we have a unique situation here, which was done, in a serious effort, a big lift by these property owners who have cooperated in the spirit of the code, which specifically 1518-100B encourages the mutual use of piers by adjacent property owners and is recommended whenever possible. And then we've done that. We've accomplished what others before these folks for almost 80 years haven't been able to do. I think it's a pretty big deal, and they should be commended for their efforts. They've been pretty reasonable amongst each other, pretty creative in their design, all within the confines of the narrow cove, the setbacks to lateral lines, and the other city code provisions. And you'll hear momentarily the details of the properties and the proposed piers and bulkheads. You have everything in your applications. I think you'll find everything we've proposed complies with city code provisions, chapter 15, 16, and 1518, and warrant approval. But I'll go through with our engineer and our permit services, marine permit services planner in a little more detail here, and you'll hear from them now. So I think we have him on. Bill Bauer is our engineer. Bill, are you there?
Yes, good evening.
Great. Bill, would you mind just stating your name and address for the record?
William Bauer, work address is 45 Old Solomon's Island Road, Suite 204, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
And your profession and the company you're affiliated with.
I'm the division manager of Charles P. Johnson & Associates, Annapolis office. I'm a licensed land surveyor. I'm also a licensed professional engineer.
And how long have you been doing that?
I had started my land surveying career in 1997, got my professional license in 2011. I started working for a civil engineering firm in 2004 and got my PE license in 2021.
And have you previously testified in your capacity as an engineer, even as an expert witness before the Port Wardens?
Yes, I have.
And did your firm prepare the civil engineering plans for the Southgate properties for all 4 applications?
Yes, we did. We assisted Ms. Norris preparing the base drawings, the lateral lines, and all the survey work.
Great. And you're familiar with the city code provisions applicable to the Port Wardens?
I am, yes.
Great. Mr. Chairman, I would ask that Mr. Bauer be accepted as an expert in the field of surveying and civil engineering.
Okay, I accept, you accepted.
Great, thank you. Mr. Bauer, could you go over, and if you want to share your screen, great. If not, I can share mine, the existing shoreline conditions and the configuration in front of 3, 5, 9, and 11 Southgate.
Sure, I can share my screen. So what we're looking at here is actually the raw survey data. So you can see all the shots that we took along the shoreline. It's a hard stabilized shoreline with wood and concrete bulkheads. You can see that we took shots along all the piers, at the angle breaks, at the ends, at the beginnings along the shoreline. You can even see that we took some shots in the water to make sure that mean high water is in fact the face of the bulkhead. And we also took shots on all of the mooring piles. So the mooring piles that are close enough for us to set our survey reflector on, we do. And if it's a little farther out in the water out here, we can actually take a reflectorless shot. So we have field located all of the shoreline improvements. And as you can see, we traced out all of the property lines for all of the abutting owners.
And to be clear, that when we're talking about replacing the bulkhead, that's going to go across the entire frontage, and it extends, I believe, 18 inches from the existing bulkhead. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in determining, and I don't know if it's shown on these drawings, but determining the configuration and ultimately lateral lines and the developable waterway area, did you follow the city code? And if so, could you elaborate?
Yes, we took the side property lines, extended them to the face of the bulkhead, connected each of those intersections. And from those, the angles formed by those straight lines, we bisected the angle, then showing the lateral lines, and got the harbor line from the city map.
You worked with Mrs. Norris, who's going to testify here momentarily, and the applicants, correct?
Correct.
And the lateral line, just for the record, between 1 Taney Avenue and 11 Southgate, previously approved under a Port Warden's application on Port 2019-001. That's the lateral line between those two properties, correct?
That's correct.
And then would you say we just worked within the confines of that lateral line and the constrained nature of this? It's a cove, essentially, correct?
Yeah, it's a concave cove. So as you extend the lateral lines away from the shoreline toward the harbor line, they all converge. And given the minimal amount of water frontage, there's no way to modify the lateral lines in conformance with the code.
Great. Yeah, I think we'll go over that in a little more detail. I'm going to share my screen here, and can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So in talking about some existing conditions, I'm going to submit a copy of a letter that was sent in. So the code requires under 1518 100B that lateral line setbacks may be reduced if a letter of no objection is obtained from adjacent property owners. Well, internally, given the constraints and the proximity of these proposed piers, when these folks dock vessels or more vessels on their piers as proposed, those vessels would encroach potentially on the 5-foot lateral line setback. So what I have before you, and I've sent copies to Scott, and I'll make sure they get in, but we have a letter of no objection between 5 and 9 Southgate, which I'll make sure Kevin has the letter, and we submitted this before we knew Mr. Godley was no longer going to be the chair of the Port Warden, so we can certainly readdress it. And this is the same letter between 9 and 11, signed on 2 separate pages, but it is the same letter. So I would ask that both be submitted, accepted as exhibits, Mr. Chairman.
We certainly accept that.
I think the chairman said without objection.
Great, thank you. And Kevin, I'll make sure you get those.
And Mr. Chair, maybe to truncate some of these proceedings, we quite often go ahead and put the application and the staff report into the record, and then that avoids duplications, because some of these letters, or at least I know one, was already in our packet.
Okay, will
These
we
were
need
these
to do
were
a
different
motion?
letters.
Sorry. Will we need a motion to put those staff?
You can just admit them, your chair.
Okay, all right,
Admit them into the record as well as the staff report and the application.
okay. For the record, I got a text 5 minutes before this meeting that this was happening.
It's totally fine.
Yeah. So, all right. Mr. Hyatt, do you have any more to? I mean, I assume
I'll keep going. Yeah, and just for the record, those letters of no objection were not included in our applications, which is why I brought them up tonight. And I have one other exhibit that we'll introduce later that was not included in our applications.
Okay.
Mr. Bowery, still with us here?
Yes.
So, given the proposed peer configuration with respect to the Port Wardens review criteria, will it have any negative impact on navigation within the surrounding area of Spa Creek, congestion within the city's waters, or other riparian property owners, or access by the public to the city's waters, or, to the best of your knowledge, present any negative impacts on any proposed or present commercial or industrial uses?
To the best of my knowledge, there's no improvements beyond the harbor line, and with the consolidation of the shared piers, it's a less intense use, that's for sure.
And in your professional opinion, given everything we've just discussed, is there any other alternative configuration of the piers, accepting the bulkhead is the bulkhead, of the piers at 5, 9, and 11 that would be better than what's being proposed, going from 3 down to 2 piers?
Yeah, no, I've looked at this cove before, and there's no way around this. You have to get all of the property owners on board, and a shared pier is absolutely the best solution.
Okay, great. Unless you have anything else, that concludes my questioning for Mr. Bauer. And unless the Port Wardens have any questions, I would move on to my next witness.
Scott?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, great.
Okay. Mr.
Thanks.
Hyatt?
Well, then I'll call on Renee Norris, please. Hi, Renee.
Hi,
Please state your name and address for the record.
Renee Norris, 1160 Indian Landing Road, Millersville, Maryland, 21108.
Thank you. And please share with us your profession and the company that you're affiliated with.
So I own RKN Marine Permits and Services. So I'm like a permit coordinator, basically.
For marine projects specifically.
Yes.
And how long have you been doing that?
Part-time, I worked with my mother-in-law, Marianne Norris, for about 7 years. And then I started my own business in 2022.
Great.
I'm sorry, 2020. Sorry, I started my
2020.
Yes, a little more, 2.5 years ago.
Okay, great. And have you previously testified or handled other applications before the Port Wardens?
Yes, I have represented multiple homeowners at Port Wardens.
And you prepared all the applications and improvements that we've submitted tonight at the Southgate properties using the engineering data that Mr. Bauer and his firm prepared?
Yes, I did. I submitted the building permit, the maritime construction permit, and the grading permit applications for all 4 properties.
And fair to say that you're very familiar with the Port Wardens code provisions in the city code?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, with that, I would respectfully request that Mrs. Norris be accepted as an expert witness in the field of marine permitting and related services.
Okay, without objection.
Thank you. Before we dive into this specific application, Renee, you handled fairly recently some peer improvement work at 3 Southgate. It didn't require Port Wardens approval, but could you share, I guess that gives you some familiarity with the cove before you even got involved with these other applications, correct?
Correct, yes. I submitted the building permit application for permit number BLD 22-0094 for 3 Southgate Avenue to redeck the existing 6-foot by 54-foot pier. And that permit was issued on March 9th, 2022.
Okay, great. And we're talking about the same pier 3 all the way over to what would be new piers at 5 and 9, and then 9 and 11, but you're familiar with the existing conditions. So I think I'll share my screen again so you can just kind of walk us through the existing shoreline, including the lateral lines and then the proposed pier improvements. And again, Mr. Chairman, all of the existing conditions in these applications are the same. The only difference being the proposed application. So we'll start with 3 to show you the existing conditions, which are here. So if you wouldn't mind, Ms. Norris, what are we looking at?
Okay, that page 10 shows the existing conditions. Both all 4 properties, 3, 5, 9, and 11 have existing piers. The existing pier at 9 Southgate is only 15 feet long. The neighbors at 1 Southgate and 1 Taney Avenue also have piers. The 4 properties are located in a corner, or as Bill said, a concave cove, and they're very close together, which limits the developable waterway. And the harbor line was drawn in accordance with the City of Annapolis harbor line map and the city quad sheet. And in addition to the piers, there's the pilings as well that propose an issue for navigating the boats.
And this looks like a pretty constrained small cove, and looks like, well, it is fact that 11 Southgate doesn't even have 25 feet of frontage on Spa Creek. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the average distance to the harbor line from the center line of these properties is 66.5 feet, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And again, you were also familiar with, we examined the Port Wardens application that was approved for 1 Taney. So that lateral line kind of dictated between, you can see where it says William Berge, 1 Taney Avenue, between 11 Southgate and 1 Taney. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. We use that lateral line as basically a starting point and then worked our way over.
Okay. And then I'll just real quick show, I think it's on here, correct. Proposed, yeah, you can see the lateral lines between, this is 1 Taney, and that's the lateral line we used. So
that's the proposed construction that you're showing right now?
Yep.
Okay.
This is proposed at 3. So you just want to give a quick, what does this show?
For the proposed construction, that
Sure.
shows, okay, that shows the length of the bulkhead as it will, the measurements as when it's installed 18 inches channelward of the existing bulkhead.
Great. And for the other applications, and we'll jump to those as well, but we're going from, and you can see here, we're only ending up with 2 piers between 5, 9, and 11.
Correct. Yes. We're going from those 3 properties, originally had 3 piers, and then going down to 2 piers in order, and then the property owners will share them.
Great. And I guess, and I don't need to go through all of the details because as Port Warden Godley noted, these are already in the record. But you know, generally speaking, why don't you just walk us through how the demolition, and I'm going to keep my screen sharing here, how the demolition and the construction and dredging of the proposed work will occur.
Okay, so all construction is water access via a barge and an excavator. And Westport Reclamation Services has provided a letter of acceptance for the dredge material.
I actually have a copy of that letter. I believe this is it. Nope, that's not it. Well, it should be it. Nope, I will,
No worries.
hold on one second. I do have a copy, I swear.
Why don't you just submit it?
I will, I just want to show it since this is a virtual. We'll submit this to Kevin Scott, to the board, but I would request that this be submitted as applicant's exhibit for all four applications. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you, Renee, in regards to dredging.
Oh, just that Westport Reclamation will accept the dredge material.
Great. And just generally speaking, I know you're not going to be the one building this, but in accordance with the code, are the proposed building materials the kind that are going to be sufficiently substantial and lasting?
Yes, and the details regarding the materials and the method used can be found in the construction plans that were included with the applications for more specific details.
Okay, great. And in regards to in your professional opinion, will these piers as proposed resulting in one less pier than exists today have any negative impact on wildlife conservation, water pollution, erosion, navigational hazards, congestion within the city's waters, or other riparian property owners, or access to the public by the public, or any present or proposed commercial or industrial uses?
No, the proposed pier construction will have no negative impact on any of these issues.
And again, you agree with Mr. Bauer that this is the best possible configuration, knowing the history and the constraints. This is as good as it gets.
Absolutely. I mean, months of preparation have gone into this, working with engineer, all the homeowners, Stephen Hyatt, myself. We've all worked together to literally come down to inches to try to come up with a plan that allows each homeowner to have a pier that will accommodate their boat and the most equitable access to the harbor line as possible.
Thank you. And that concludes my questions for Ms. Norris, Mr. Chairman, unless the Port Wardens have questions for
her. Gene or Scott?
No questions.
No questions. Really thorough. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, that's my last witness. I'll just close and thank you for your time. And again, there's about 80 years of contentious history here between the neighbors, and it is a unique situation where all four neighbors are cooperating in a highly constrained cove. I think, again, for the record, probably the first time voluntarily giving up a pier, going from 3 down to 2, where it's not a community. These are just private property owners working together. And what we've presented to you this evening is, in the opinion of our experts here, the best design for these properties, given the tight constraints, will result in an overall improvement to Spa Creek. And accordingly, I believe, respectfully request that the Port Wardens approve applications 20, 22, 14, 15, 16, 17. Again, all the testimony applies to each of the applications. You have the specific applications, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the differences between them, but that's all highlighted in the applications. And we thank you for your time and happy to answer any questions.
Sure. I really don't have any questions. I would compliment to get all the people together, even within the 3 years. I've only 3 years I've been doing this. I believe this property's come up a couple times, or these grouping of properties have come up about different questions. So it's sort of nice to see everyone working together on this.
Well,
Scott,
I wish I could take credit, but it was Mr. McLaughlin who really was the key piece. And I'm not referring to my clients as cats, but herding the cats. He did a hell of a job getting everybody on the same page. So
Scott, thank you.
I do have one question. I just want to clarify that there is no public testimony or adverse comments to this. And this is the first time, I believe, and Gene, or at least the time that I've been a port warden, that so many people have come together and to do this. I think that's a great thing. What concerns me is the future. And I guess we don't really need to worry about the future because we don't rule on the future. Is that correct, Gene?
We can rule on the future, but it won't hold. No, I share your view. This is unique in terms of getting everyone together, and because of that uniqueness and the fear that it may fall apart as we talk, I would make a motion that we approve.
I have a question though.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Before we make the motion, yeah.
Yeah.
You did show us a letter between 11 and 9. Do you have similar letters between 9 and 5, 5
Yes.
and 3, whatever? We make sure that that's included in the record, that they
yeah,
can't.
And to be clear, we have shared peer agreements between the parties that will be recorded documents and will run with the land that will control and should quell any concerns over future uses or the potential discrepancy or neighborly dispute that might come up. We worked very long and hard to draft those documents, and that's actually a requirement of MDE, and they've seen those documents. It's got all of their required language in there and more, very detailed. I mean, I think they're 13, 14-page documents that we went through and redlined back and forth, and there were numerous lawyers involved, and it should address any future concerns about the shared use. But it does run with the land, so it's not like you're approving this for just these property owners. You're approving it for all future property owners who would potentially buy any of the either 5, 9, or 11 Southgate.
Since those are recorded documents, would you mind submitting those for our record?
Sure, we could.
It would provide a template for the future in case we have a similar circumstance that I think would be good, a good object lesson.
Sure.
I commend all the parties. I think, that this is the sort of thing that is fabulous, and I wish we could see more of it. So I don't want to jump the gun here, but agreements, well, once I have it, I'd like to get them in concrete. So I would propose that we individually approve application 2022-014, 015, 016, and 017.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
You asked for a vote. All in favor?
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so good, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Excuse me, do we need to vote each one individually, or did we just do them all collectively like that?
I thought I was separating them out individually.
Yes, yeah.
Numbers.
Okay, and we could certainly do that. So should we do,
Yes.
and that was 014. So we need to do 015, which is the 9 Southgate Avenue, the Matt McLaughlin one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, let's do 016, which is 5 and 9 Southgate combined. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, that 015 was 9 Southgate alone, and then 016 is 5 and 9 combined.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. All right, and then 017, which is 3 Southgate, so to unto itself. What?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. All right, so thank you very much. we can move down to,
Thank you.
sorry, what?
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fantastic, actually. Like one of the
Great, happy to
best
do it.
ones I've seen in the 3 years as far as put together. All right, Port, this would be 2022, number 18, Nancy Hassett. Trustee, do we have any people related to Nancy Hassett, trustee of the 702 Warren?
Mike Mulligan was on.
And Lyrian's there.
Okay, Dan. And is Nancy joining as well, or just Dan? All right, so Gene, I'm gonna have you do it one more time because I'm writing down every time only pieces of it because I can only write so fast.
Okay, I
So
think
let's,
we need to admit Dan, or at least I see his
Yeah.
name, but not his,
Dan, can you hear us and can we hear you? I can hear
I'm
you.
trying to unmute it. Let's see. You got me?
There we go.
gotcha.
Okay, there I am.
Dan, you swear to tell the truth to the port wardens to the best of your ability upon penalty of perjury.
I do.
All yours, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right, Mr. Larian, can you give us the rundown of the project?
Yes, I'm Dan Larian. I'm 10555 Lake Road, Easton, Maryland, 21601. I'm representing Nancy Hassett, trustee at 702 Warren Drive, to install a 200 square foot kayak launch, install 2 wood support piles, and a safety swim ladder to access the kayak launch. The structure fits within all the setbacks and is well inside the harbor line. The signs were posted 10 days prior to the meeting, and the mail was sent out 11 days prior to the meeting. I photographed these signs and sent them to Kevin Scott to justify that. And that's pretty much what we're doing.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I confirm all that, and there were no letters from the public or anyone asked to testify.
Okay. Do any port wardens have any particular questions?
Mr. Chairman, I don't, but once again, I'd like to say that this is 2 doors down from me and in a cul-de-sac. I'm shocked I was not given written notice of this. I'm well within 150 feet, but notwithstanding that, I've not discussed this with a neighbor, did not know the applicant until the sign was posted, didn't know the application was here. So I don't consider myself as having any conflict,
Okay.
and I have no questions.
I need to take a second look at this. Just
And
for-
Gene, just not to be combative there, but just to clarify, your property is not within 100 feet of the
Mm.
waterfront.
I didn't think it was, but
Oh, is it of the waterfront? I thought it was, okay.
Yeah, going from the water, Dan has an arc 150 on his,
Okay, so it has to
I think
be
it's
from-
his
from
third
the-
drawing.
from the location of the project,
Right.
not from the
Yeah.
property.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could have seen the notice sign at the street because that's right there in your cul-de-sac, but from the
Oh, no,
water,
I
you're not 150 feet.
I saw the notice, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
no doubt.
I just want to make sure there wasn't a question of the
No, you
notification.
clarified it for me, and I appreciate that.
sheet 3 shows that, Gene.
What?
Sheet 3 shows the list of who I notified.
Yeah, I saw the list, yeah.
Yes, sir.
But from front yard to front yard, I'm probably within 50 feet. So
I saw that.
we're just trying to,
Somebody-
in our cul-de-sac there, we're just trying to keep the consulting industry alive and well. You know,
I see that.
All the construction, around there. So
That helps.
Okay.
thank you.
I have just a question, just some information. When you said that they're installing a safety swim ladder, is that something that you actually have to apply for?
Well, I just wanted everybody to be aware that I wasn't going to jump off the pier to get down onto the float. I was going to go down the ladder and get on the float in case there was a question about that.
I mean,
But The code only requires safety swim ladders. They don't require permits in an area that's 3 feet or deeper, 75 feet from shore and on 75 feet of the pier on opposing side. I'm surprised there's not a code for residential piers that require all piers have safety swim ladders. It gets me upset when I find out that they're not installed. So I make it a policy. When I build a pier, I install it as a gift as part of my project.
Good for you. Good
Is
policy.
this,
Good policy.
is this unique, Gene, to have it written, the swim ladder?
I've never seen it before, but it's
Okay.
gratuitous, and I think, doesn't hurt anything. We're not approving the swim ladder. We're approving the project.
Correct.
Well, no, I guess we're approving it. Mr. Chairman, I have no questions, and I'm more than happy to make a motion or.
Just
Yeah,
want to,
and we've already checked the public comments. I believe, Kevin, you said there were none. So I think we can make a
Did you
motion to accept this.
did you accept the application and the staff report into the record? Just want to.
Oh, no, I have not, but we will. Let's accept the application and the staff report into the record. Do we have to make a motion on that?
You do not, no. You as chair
Okay.
can just accept it into the record.
And Mr. Chairman, quite often, just to short circuit things at the beginning of a hearing or when I remember it, I will accept all staff reports and all applications into the record sort of generically, so you don't have to remember application by application by application.
Okay. All right. It looks good to me. It's well within the line. So I make a motion that we accept.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion to approve.
All right, we got a second from Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Gene, thank you for all your service and working with you for 28 years. I appreciate all your help.
It took you that long to train me, but thank you.
And Mr. Shapiro, congratulations, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Likewise. Thank you, but let me get likewise working with you in the future.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's move to 2022-20, which is the Yard LLC. And I know I saw Cardi come in. Do we have Scott or Chris with you, or? I guess not.
I'm sending Chris the prompt. He should be on in a second.
Okay. All right, here's Chris and. All right, I guess, can we swear in all people related to this matter, which would be Cardi and hold on, I need to stretch something out. And Chris, do you swear to the best of your ability
Tell the truth to the court wardens upon penalty of perjury.
to tell the truth to the port wardens under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Chris or Cardi, who wants to present the?
I will present the project.
Okay.
The applicant, Helen C. Templeton, at the owner of 222 Severn Road, has proposed to dredge 3 spots for a total of 2,900 square feet and 95 cubic yards. The first spot to the north, cross section AA, is 230 square feet, being dredged to a depth of 6 feet, and has a total spoils of 12 cubic yards. The next spot that is between piers 2 and 3 and is shown as cross sections CC and BB has a total area of 1,800 square feet, is being dredged to -6.0 below mean low water, and has a total spoils of 50 cubic yards. And the final dredge spot is by Pier 4, and the total area is 870 square feet, being dredged to a depth of -5 feet for a total spoils of 33 cubic yards.
Okay. I assume it's come this far. And Gene, I'm deferring to you with the dredging related elements that it's already been approved by anyone from MDE and all the rest.
It looks like it already has state approval.
Okay. All right. Have there been any, Kevin, has there been any public comments or?
There's been no public comments. No one signed up to testify.
Okay. All right. Scott or Gene, do you have any questions? Harold as well. Sorry. Do you guys have any questions?
I don't. It looks, I hate to say routine, but it looks straightforward. So I have no questions.
All right. I make a motion that we accept the application and
That we
all in favor.
approve the application. I second your motion.
Okay. All right. I make a motion to approve the application.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all in favor. Thank you. Sorry, Gene, I'm letting you hear your voice and it's.
You're doing good.
All right. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Cardi.
All right. The next is Port 2022-21. Laura Hanby, and I guess is James. Yeah, James is with you. I guess we'll swear in James and Laura. James, I can hear you.
I see all you guys.
Okay, Laura, we can see you. Do we need to be able to visually see Gene? This is or Carrie. Do we need to be able to see? Okay, we see both. Good. All right. Can you guys raise your right hand and we're going to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability under penalty of Gene?
Perjury.
Under
Perjury.
penalty of perjury.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Or hanging. We may change that to hanging, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. All right. So I guess which Laura or James, who's going to be presenting this?
I'll be answering it. Laura's here to answer any questions that she is the homeowner and is there on site all the time. I'm James Schwallenberg, Schwallenberg Permit Services, a permit expediting firm. We submitted an application to construct a 55 by 6 foot pier with a 10 foot by 20 foot fixed platform, 2 pilings for a boat lift, and to repair the existing concrete bulkhead as needed, as there are some erosive conditions and cracks going in due to the configuration of the existing bulkhead and an adjoining jetty slash groin that exists right next to the property at 7055 Bayfront Drive in Annapolis.
Okay. Let me just pull something out here.
Oh, and I'm sorry, to do 59 feet of 59 linear feet of riprap in front of the existing bulkhead to prevent more erosive conditions.
And was there a jetty at some point existing there? I'm seeing something on a satellite image that's on that sort of digs into the water.
It's old and decrepit, as I'm sure Laura can probably testify to. But because of its positioning, the shallowness of the seafloor is the reason here she's asking for it to go a little bit further. It still won't exceed the maximum of 75 feet channelward. And as she is right on the Chesapeake Bay, there's really no close to the center of channel.
Okay, your voice is going in and out. Is anyone else experiencing that?
Yeah, same thing.
Oh, maybe I should, here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's
Okay.
a little better, but let's hear. It's only, it weans, so I need to. Okay, go ahead.
Apologies for that. If you need me to repeat anything, please let me know.
Okay, it still seems to be happening. Just repeat the last few sentences prior to "it is the Chesapeake Bay."
I'm sorry, it is on directly on the Chesapeake Bay, so there's really no danger of going anywhere close to the center of the channel as far as her 75-foot pier would go.
Okay. And the pier is brand new, correct?
Correct. There's nothing existing there.
Okay.
And just next door at 7053 Bayfront, approved and issued on April 25th of 2022 was an approved application next door.
Okay. We're still getting some in and out of your volume, but I'm making it out. Let's open it up to the other port wardens for any questions related to this.
Yes, have the neighbors commented one way or the other, or no comment from the neighbors?
No comments from the neighbors or any member of the public, and nobody signed up to testify.
Okay.
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Scott, anything? You good? All right. I make a motion, we accept.
Second.
Yeah.
Approve, not accept, approve. I second a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we accept to approve the application.
Second.
All right, and I make a motion to accept the application. That
You mean to put the application and the staff report in the record?
yes.
Yes, okay.
Again.
Yep.
Thrown in.
Yep. So,
all right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. I guess we thank you guys, Mrs. Hannaby and Schwallenberg, Mr. Schwallenberg, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Let's move to the final 101 Spa Avenue, which is a replace in kind. Let me get that open very quickly. So do we have Rob Welsh? Yes, you're here. Rob, can you hear me? Robert Welsh, Mr. Welsh. We're having very odd, you sound like a mouse. No offense. Now we're not hearing you. Sorry. Madeline, any advice with this?
No, I was just thinking I've never encountered this one before. Robert, are you using a microphone built into the device you're calling in on, or do you have an external microphone? Do you have headphones in? I'm out. I'm out of
Microphone
guess.
built into the device you're calling in on, or do you have an external microphone?
Do we have an external speaker somewhere that might be giving us a delay?
Do you have headphones in?
Drop and
I
reconnect.
think that might be a
Yes.
good idea.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. If you could please, I guess, Madeline, do you drop him, or obviously he'll disconnect as well?
Yeah, he
But-
has to leave because if I drop him, the meeting won't let him back in.
Okay. All right, Mr. Welsh, if you could exit the meeting, there we go.
All right.
I kind of like the mouse myself.
Yeah, that was, you know what, good. Just throw everything at me tonight. You want to? Next, we're gonna get a streaker one across one of these things.
You didn't see it?
All right.
Be careful, Ross is still on.
All right, let's see when he comes back in. Actually gives me time to open my. I organized by tonight and then have everything in one spot. And then I have flags on satellite images. So but Gene, you're the one doing the talking normally. Thank you very much. So I open up my Google Earth, I go to the tag, look at the property, all while I'm opening this, but not having to talk. So I can do it all before you threw this at me. But
it's
now
very
I have to do it quicker.
And you need at least 3 screens to do all that.
Now I've got a 49-inch. I got basically 3 in 1.
I find the juggling of many screens and talking difficult.
Okay,
Well, while we're paused here, Kevin, do we have any comments on this from the public?
We do not, and it's a replacement in kind, so it should be pretty
Right.
straightforward. I was
I
going to suggest to
noticed that-
Rob, if his voice is still acting up, maybe he can call in from his phone. One second.
How do you have me
Oh.
now?
Much better.
We hear you.
Yeah,
We hear
good.
you.
We
Good.
can hear you.
All right.
When you watch it on YouTube, you'll see what we saw or
All
heard
right,
what we
so-
heard.
So
Yeah.
remember the drop and reconnect trick.
Yeah,
Anyway,
got it.
good evening. My name is Rob Welsh. I'm the consultant for Florane Polka, the owner of 101 Spottview Avenue.
Just one second. You have to be sworn in.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Wells,
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
do you swear to tell the truth to the best of the ability under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay. Again, my name is Rob Welsh. I'm the consultant for the property owner, Florane Polka, and that's for 101 Spottview Avenue. The application's a pretty simple one. It is the replacement in kind of a 41-foot overall long straight pier and 2 mooring pilings. That would give you a maximum of 1 potential slip, and it is a private residential pier that projects 36 feet channelward from the mean high water line. For administrative issues, signs were posted and mailings were done on September 16th, and digital proof of those were given to Kevin Scott on that same day. And just as a reference, the source of my drawings, I'm the CAD architect. The source of my drawings were signed and sealed surveys from the past, as well as GIS information confirming overlays, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to note that on page 2 of 2 of my application, I have a typo, and it references 331 First Street, which was a prior Port Wardens meeting. Obviously, it is 101 Spottview. So please strike that.
Okay. Kevin, is there any, or Carrie, is there anything administrative related to that? Like, that doesn't affect the validity of this, correct? But that's a question.
You can accept it as sort of amended on the floor, if you will. And you can accept that as he's, I believe he struck something, right?
It doesn't affect me on my end. I can strike it.
Okay.
What was the page number again?
Page
Two,
two of, let's see.
If you
page
go all
two-
the way to the bottom of the application.
Page
Kevin,
two of the building permit application, Kevin. Top of the page.
I see it.
Okay.
I got you.
Yeah, cut and paste.
No worries. That's fine. I can
Okay.
take care of it.
And Carrie, we don't need a motion to actually, or to vote on anything to make this typo amendment or correction, correct?
No, you're good.
Okay, all right, great. All right, it's in kind, the moorings are also in kind, correct, Mr. Wells?
Yes, they're all in exactly the same location.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right, and there are no public comments. We accept all staff reports and what was the other element that were?
Application.
And application. And do we need to vote on that? I cannot recall already.
No, as
Okay.
chair, you can just admit them into the record.
Okay, let's admit them into the staff reports and the application into the record. Port wardens, do you have any questions?
I have none. And if there are none, I propose we approve this application.
And I'll accept the second.
Okay. All right, application is accepted.
All in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Need my script. Thank you very much, Mr. Welsh.
You're very welcome, and everybody have a wonderful night, and see you next time.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Robert, my gratitude for you for, taking over, and, you did a great job. Just
Well, I thank you. Next time will be a heck of a lot smoother. Mrs. Berger, I'm going to be in touch with you tomorrow. And Jean, I'm going to hit you up as well. And Jean, thank you. Everyone has already said, but thanks so much. I mean, serious service, for years and years and years. And the city, it's phenomenal. Thanks. And enjoy your Tuesdays.
thank you. Public service is a privilege, so I appreciate that.
He isn't gone yet. We have to find a replacement.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Well, and Ross, I understand that Hillary has a nominee. So
Oh,
we just need
wonderful.
the council to get moving with what they do.
Good. Well, that's always a challenge, but we'll get on it. But
Oh,
we will miss Jean. Most
Hillary's so
definitely.
happy to see me
Thanks,
go. She
Gene.
moved to record speed. Thank you.
Not true. Not true.
You're right.
Hey,
Thank you. Thank you.
Robert, can you give me a call?
Oh, absolutely.
Give me a call, like, to ask you a question or two. Yeah.
Sure. Yes. I don't know if I have your phone number.
Or we can email and do it that way, and then phone
Yeah,
numbers.
I'll pop you an email with my contact info, and then you give me a call, okay? That would be fantastic. All right,
Mr. Chairman,
again,
yes, you declare us adjourned.
yes, we are adjourned.